Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. It's 12 minutes before 3 o'clock. You're still tuned into Nedbank Business Watch. We are now joined by Bongani Mabuza, who's the head of treasury at Nedbank Eswatini. I want to take a look at today's financial markets. A very good afternoon, Bongani. Welcome back. It's been quite a long time.
It's good to be back. Good afternoon to you, Lulu, and good afternoon to your viewers. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. So how are the markets performing today? We saw at the beginning of the week, there were fears that there could be a recession in the U.S. and markets fell off. Has there been a turnaround since Monday?
Yeah, that's correct. I think that's exactly where we want to start. So there was a big correction on Monday in markets globally, and I want to just point out, first of all, the reasons for that and what has happened since. So there were a number of factors which contributed to this. First of all, we had a jobs report that came out in the U.S. on Friday, which showed that the U.S. economy added fewer jobs than the market had expected. So the market did not respond kindly to that. And then secondly, we had the Bank of Japan, which unexpectedly raised interest rates in Japan. Okay. So that caused a bit of weakness and fear. It caused the unwinding of what's been happening in markets, which is called the yen carry trade. And then thirdly, you had corporate earnings reporting in the U.S. You had the Magnificent Seven companies, which are the 7 largest tech companies in the U.S. They all reported numbers that are good, that are showing earnings growth. But what happened is that those equities were sort of priced to perfection, really. And even though they showed good growth, it was not growth as robust as markets expected. So there's a bit of a cool off because of that. And then the last thing that I want to talk about that happened is you had markets expecting a retaliation from Iran after Israel admitted to killing the leader of Hamas in Iran. So that caused a bit of noise, especially around commodities markets. So all of that was really sort of the perfect storm that caused a big sell-off in markets earlier on in the week. Okay. And then we started to see a recovery on Tuesday, what's been called Turnaround Tuesday. Okay. We started to see a partial recovery, and that story sort of continues today, where we're seeing continued risk-on sentiment across equities, across FX, and across commodities.
Right. So speaking of commodities, we've been seeing gold prices and Brent crude oil being volatile throughout the week since Monday. What's the reaction today? Yeah,
that's correct. So in terms of commodities, we have gold currently at $2,397 per ounce. It's up just over 1/10%. And the story with gold is that it's steady today after a 4-day losing streak. As you've been saying, it's been quite volatile, and it's been one directional, and we're seeing some stability there today. From a crude perspective, crude is also steady, up about 1%, and markets it's steady there again. Markets have been are waiting to see if Iran is still going to retaliate against Israel, but for the time being, the prices are steady.
Okay, so when we look at the foreign exchange, particularly the lilangeni against the dollar, what's the reaction today? Because also it has been quite volatile now since Monday. What's the reaction today?
It has, and we need to at some point find a stronger word than volatile. So, for instance, the mighty lilangeni is at 18.3275 against the dollar today, at 20.022 against the euro, and at 23.31 against the pound. It's strong today, probably the strongest it's been this week. So, for instance, yesterday it went to levels as weak as 18.58, and on Monday we saw reach it. We saw it reaching levels of 18.68. So we have seen some recovery there as the trend of risk-on sentiment coming back into markets continuing, and the Langeni being an emerging market currency, we are starting to see some flows coming our way.
Okay, so there were reports, I think it was yesterday or Monday, that the pound was declining against the dollar. How has there been a turnaround since yesterday?
No, that's correct. The pound has been declining against the dollar, and I think a lot of that has been, there's some economic factors, but some of it is also social factors because of the unrest that we're currently seeing in the UK, and I think markets are just waiting to see if efforts by government and other parties to contain those are going to succeed. Okay,
so lastly, let's take a look at the numbers on equities. What's happening there today?
No, thanks. So equities are up, with the S&P 500 being up about 1%, with the FTSE being up about 0.23%, the JSE All Share Index being relatively flat. So again, it's a story of a continued risk-on sentiment. We did see a significant sell-off on Monday, and a lot of volatility, as you rightfully said. We saw the VIX index, for instance, reach the highest levels of volatility in more than 30 years. So we saw a recovery on Tuesday, and we're continuing to see that to some extent today. But it's not a full recovery as yet. It's a partial recovery.
So can we see the recovery until Friday? So Nama, there will be changes between today and Friday.
Yeah, I think it will depend on a number of factors. So, for instance, markets are pricing in a lot of things around the probability of a recession in the U.S. market, the probability of interest rate cuts, and when and how many interest rate cuts we're going to see, and all of that. In the short term, so much can happen. It's really hard to call, but it's important for any investors to stay close to the market and be well positioned to react.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bongani, for that analysis today for our financial markets. That was Bongani Mabuza, Head of Treasury at Nedbank Eswatini, giving us today's financial markets. It's 5 minutes before 3. Let's quickly go for an ad break. Sabi Akanamaj.